All right, here's the first card. Here's the second card. Here's the third card. Here's the fourth card. Here's the fifth card. And now I'll be passing the camera over to the cameraman. But here's my audience. Right here, there are 6 people present and 2 kiddos in the back. And here's my cameraman. Okay. Welcome everyone to my speech. My name is Clara Brown and I'm going to be talking about how to make a successful puff pastry. Basically, we're all amateur bakers here in the audience, if I'm correct. And so we are going to be talking about how puff pastry is a notoriously difficult dessert and how one can nail it to be able to get that signature flake, that signature crunch, and that signature fluffiness that comes from a puff pastry. Well, I don't know if any of you have seen the Great British Baking Show. It is one of my favorite shows ever, and they always dedicate at least one episode of their seasons to puff pastry because it is so notoriously difficult. And so, why is it so difficult to make? Why is a recipe of flour, water, and butter so hard to nail? And that's what I'm going to try to uncover today in my speech. In that, what are the steps to making a successful puff pastry? And so, step number 1 is you mix the water and flour together, and then you knead it and chill. So you make a trough of flour, put your water in the middle, make a really, really crude dough, and then you make that into a square shape. Put it in the fridge to let it chill. And then you do the same thing with your butter. You want to make it sure it's very, very, very pliable so you can roll it out and then put some plastic wrap around the butter and then put it in the fridge so that can chill as well. According to Richard Bertinet, author of pastry, the butter and dough need to be the same consistency before being folded together. That's why they're both chilled. And so, step number 2, you encase the rolled out butter into the rolled out dough and you fold into a book shape. So that signature puff pastry is the layers. The layers are what makes it key. The layers are like a good Danish pastry. You see the layers, you can see the flake, you can see the butter, you can have the buttery taste. And so, once you have your folded out, or your rolled out dough and your rolled out butter, you fold that in, you fold it together into like a book shape, and then you wrap it up again in plastic wrap, and then you put it in the fridge again to let it chill. And then so a YouTube chef, his name is Shuval Ayalan, and he said the record number of folds in a puff pastry has been 80 folds. That is a lot of folds in one pastry. And so step number 3, you repeat, roll, and chill as much as you want. The more repeat folds and chills you get, the more successful layers you get, and the more lamination you get. And that's just a fancy term of saying layers, layers and layers and layers and layers in your puff pastry. More layers equals lamination, and that's what bakers are trying to get. That's why it's so hard to achieve. Andy Connolly, in an article titled "The Science and Magic of Pastry," said, "Lamination develops strong 2-dimensional glutinous layers and traps air between them. The air then expands on heating, giving height to your pastry. The result of this is this time-consuming process of hundreds and hundreds of layers, spreading that fat and pastry apart." And that's what you basically want in a pastry. You're looking for those well-defined layers, the flake, the buttery taste, and making sure that the butter doesn't separate in the dough because then you won't get those well-defined layers and that crunch. And so, seeing the Great British Baking Show myself, I always wondered, well, what would it be like if I made puff pastry? And so I did. I made my own puff pastry. And I read many, many, many different things on how to make it. I even read step-by-step guides by Emma Christensen, a really, 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 really renowned pastry chef online. But, I couldn't agree more with what Paul Hollywood said in the Great British Baking Show. He said, to make a full-blooded puff pastry, you need time, you need patience, and you need precision. And that's so true, because when I made it, I didn't do all the steps of chilling as most bakers do. And I did get that signature flake. However, it wasn't entirely flaky as I wanted it to be. There weren't a lot of layers, but it still was puff pastry, and I was proud. I made apple dumplings, and they were delicious. And the nods of approval from my family all, gave me that boost of confidence I needed. However, I hope today you've been able to not only figure out how to make a good puff pastry, but to know the secrets of making a successful one. Thank you very much. Okay, so now here's my audience once again. They are still sitting there looking great. In the back too. All right, thank you, Professor Anderson.